Have you ever wondered why Ragatha is the caring motherly figure in the Amazing Digital Circus? Well, today I'll be diving into a theory about Ragatha and her nearly abstracting, but was saved by Cain, shaping her into the motherly figure that we know today. And I actually didn't come up with this theory, I'm just the one who builds on the theory. So thank you, Ruben, for commenting this theory. I'll be exploring some possible evidence from the series, analyze Ragatha's transformation, and discuss how Cain's intervention could have influenced her role in the digital world. So let's get into it. In the first episode of TADC, we pretty much see Ragatha as a really caring person, because when Pomni arrived, Ragatha was the one who took care of her, just like a mother would welcome a baby with open arms. We see this when Cain disappears after introducing the adventure for the day, because Ragatha walked over to Pomni and explained what the adventure was for.
What did any of that mean?
Oh, that's just one of Cain's little adventures. They're just something fun to do to, prevent us from going insane.
In this scene, instead of Ragatha not explaining and just staying where she was, she walked over to Pomni, explained the adventure and why it's there, and her whole body language just shines that she wants to help Pomni and take care of her. But we also see Ragatha's sign of struggle, which happens in the first episode, where she is displaying signs of extreme stress and emotional turmoil. And I've actually made a theory about Ragatha's potential depression on my channel, so go watch that video after finishing this one. But when do we see Ragatha showing extreme stress and emotional turmoil? We see it right after the circus members splitting up, because when Pomni, Ragatha and Jax were walking to check on Cosmo, Pomni asks something about finding an exit, and that is when Ragatha gets all emotional.
Why not try to find a way to leave?
Well, we usually do when we first arrive, but after a while you start to realize that you really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
So we definitely know from just this one scene that many members and even potentially Ragatha herself did the same thing that Pomni did, and that just supports my theory about Ragatha nearly abstracting. But let's get more into it. Near the end of episode 1, when Cosmo got teleported down to the cellar, we see Ragatha glitching and crawling to Cain. But why did she crawl and glitch? Well, because Cosmo pretty much beat her up, and she got really hurt, because when Pomni tried to help Ragatha, she touched her hand and it seemed like it really hurt. And in comparison to Ragatha must have been hurting a lot. So a big praise to Ragatha, because she literally crawled from the dorm room hall to the main hall where the circus members and Cain were staying.
I am in so much pain!
But that is not the most interesting part, because when she got fixed up by Cain, she stood up looking really sad. And this is where most of you probably think that it's just because Pomni was in front of her and it's an awkward situation. But I don't think so. I think this specific scene reminded her of her past and the time she nearly abstracted due to her being just like Pomni. But of course, she was probably just sad about Pomni leaving her, and it was the potential flashback that she had that made her sad. Her whole body language also just shows that she might have been through it all before. But now, this is where Cain's intervention happened. We saw that Cain could heal Ragatha's whole body and Pomni's hand within an instant, so we know that he has the power to literally fix anything in the digital circus. Because think about it, if he can heal / fix glitches, then what else could he do? Literally anything. So in Ragatha's time, she might have been just like Pomni, being overly cautious and questioning everything, and even just being very skeptic, which probably led her to thinking a lot, and that is when she turned a bit crazy. Because let's be honest, I would go crazy over the thought of being in a cartoon circus and never being able to escape back to real life. And that is definitely something that Ragatha could have been thinking about. So as the days, weeks, months and years went by, she finally snapped. But not like Cosmo did, because we don't really know how Cosmo abstracted. We only know he was in the room. And even the abstraction, we don't even know what happens when you abstract. but we presumably think that they go crazy before they go insane. So with Ragatha, it probably just happened when the circus members and Kane had a little meeting. She probably got enough and began to talk about stuff, act more scared, and began to glitch. And of course, after Kane saw that, he did something to fix Ragatha. Now, I'm not talking about a quick fix with a snap of his fingers, but I'm more thinking of him doing something special. Maybe he used his powers to suppress Ragatha's behavior and emotions, and then of course comforted her a little bit with his own ways, because we all know that he's an AI, which I think constantly improves. So with him having already learned from many of the circus members and even watching over Ragatha, he comforted her in the way he thought was best. He saved Ragatha from abstraction, which have turned her into the motherly figure that we know today. Of course, it didn't happen right away, but over time she built a bond with Kane, because Kane literally saved her life. I think that being abstracted constantly puts you in pain, which you can never escape. But there are so many possibilities as to why, how, and when abstraction happens. So let's not get into specifics in this theory, because this theory is about Ragatha. So, post-rescue changes. I believe that Ragatha had a noticeable change in her demeanor after that near abstraction incident, because she thinks more about life itself and don't want to waste her time with worrying about things that she cannot change. So now she might have found a purpose in TADC, and that purpose is to help the new circus members such as Pomni, because she didn't want to see that ever happen again, because she knows how it feels and never wants a person to fall into despair. So Ragatha became more nurturing, supportive, and especially protective of other characters. Let's talk about her motherly traits, because we constantly see them. She always tries to comfort Pomni because of everything that has happened. For example, she forgave Pomni in episode 2, even though Kaufmo beat her up and Pomni just left Ragatha. Not even left, she ran away. I mean, yes, of course she was scared, but it was just overall Pomni's facial expression and her body language towards Ragatha at that specific moment. But Ragatha forgave her.
There she is. Hope you're doing all right. I know yesterday was a bit of a doozy.
A doozy.
Oh, and don't worry about the whole abandoning me for the exit thing. It's perfectly understandable what you were going through at the time, and there's no hard feelings. You're all good.
So there aren't anything that Ragatha can't forgive, which is a really important thing in life. She also gives guidance to Pomni and probably all the circus members before Pomni, and with her motherly traits, she is probably also good at mediating conflicts. In other words, she's good at breaking the conflicts up. So throughout her stay, I believe that she has shown a lot of gratitude towards Kane for saving her. And this might be a bit of a stretch, but when she told Pomni about Kane making the adventures to keep them sane, she didn't look like she hated it, but rather embraced it.
What did any of that mean?
Oh, that's just one of Kane's little adventures. They're just something fun to do to, prevent us from going insane.
Which had led Ragatha to be more empathetic and caring. So again, it just supports the theory about Ragatha nearly abstracting. And this really just adds more character depth to Ragatha, which is honestly a very good thing. It adds a really thick layer to her character, explaining her complex emotional landscape and motherly role. And with her having that layer, she could build so many characters up. For example, Pomni, because even though it has only been 2 days, she might have fallen into a very dark place if Ragatha wasn't there to help her in the digital circus. So her being there probably strengthens the circus members' bond, which leads them to behave like a family. But those were just my theories for Ragatha nearly abstracting. Let me know down below what you think about them. Comment your own theories or something you want me to cover in TADC. Thanks for watching, subscribe and click on this video here.